Well, hello to everybody here. It's Teresa Sanderson. Very excited to connect with you again today, as always. And today we're talking about preventing the next generation of nurses from eating their young. All right. So, this is really something that is near and dear to my heart because for those of you who don't know me, or don't know it yet, I experienced the phenomenon of nurses eating their young before I even got out of nursing school. And I've heard from so many nurses over the last few years, especially as I've been doing some work in this area, of how many nurses have encountered this same experience. And I now am fully aware that this is a global problem. It's not just a United States problem. This is a problem that exists around the world, of this culture of incivility and bullying in nursing. So today I just want to talk about, how is it possible that we can prevent the next generation of nurses from doing the same, right? So first, we need to understand the problem, right? And what could cause nurses to want to eat their young. And I really don't believe that any nurse desires to do this, but I believe it can come about through things like workplace stress, lack of support, lack of leadership, sometimes the hierarchical structures. Ooh, that's a big word, right? Hierarchical. Those structures that, maybe leaves nurses feeling powerless. And there's also some cultural norms that may come into play, but I think between the workplace stress and feeling a lack of support, especially, now we know that today new nurses are really feeling pressured and challenged as they get started because their nursing school curriculum and experience doesn't give them all of the clinical experience that we used to get in nursing school. So this places new demands on them that they need to be able to kind of rock and roll and get started, but at the same time they need support. But when you need support, you have to ask questions, and they might feel intimidated by senior nurses, and the senior nurses may just feel tired because you know what, we've been waiting for new nurses forever, and now you're here and you don't know how to do what. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of a which came first, the chicken or the egg? So thinking about that, just, what can we do to stop this vicious cycle? Because in my opinion, I've said this multiple times, that I really feel like the nursing phenomenon of nurses eating their young has developed. It's almost like a familial type of dysfunction that we've developed in nursing over decades, right? And so many times I heard in my own training as a new nurse, nobody ever showed me how to do that. Why should I show you? Okay, that happens a lot. But I think, how can we stop this from happening? And first of all, we need to just acknowledge that it exists, right? When we continue to throw things at nurses to get them to work, like sign-on bonuses or double time incentives, shame on you, healthcare organizations that are still doing that, because your nurses are already exhausted, and you're offering them a huge financial incentive to just come in and do more of the same, which is not life-giving on any way of looking at that. So, but we have to be looking at the nurses who are exhausted already. What is going on in the system that is causing them to have this lack of support, lack of leadership, and poor culture, right? And I think when we do not clean up the work environment, when we continue to offer things like financial incentives to bring in new nurses to the same toxic environment that other nurses are leaving, we're missing the mark. Okay. Other nurses are saying, I'm not willing to work here anymore. 86% of nurses voted in a poll I did in LinkedIn last year and said that, this was almost 700 nurses who spontaneously responded to my question, have you ever left a nursing position because of a toxic work environment? 86% said yes. Another 7% said, I have not yet, but I would if I could. Okay. That is very telling of what's going on in nursing, yet we don't address culture. We don't clean up the work environment. I am a Midwest girl, and so I know that if I want my garden to grow, I have to really prepare the ground for that. It starts with the foundation of a garden. just like our homes are built on a foundation. The four walls won't stand around us if there is not a solid foundation. So in a garden, it's very important that you want to till up the soil, you want to fertilize it, you want to make sure it's aerated, you want to do all these good things to make sure that you have nice, nutritious, nourishing soil where my new plants can thrive, right? If I don't prepare the soil well, if I don't take the time and the energy to do that before I plant my seeds, if I plant them on the rocks or in the grass, they're not going to grow. They're not going to stick, and I'll get nothing for my efforts, right? This is what I see happening over and over again in the recruitment, retention, turnover cycle. Okay? It's not getting any better. And so I think we need to once and for all work together as a whole and clean up nursing culture, clean up the work environment, because 45% of nurses who leave a role do say that working conditions has something to do with that. And while we don't ask about was culture a part of this, I believe culture gets bundled into working conditions. But working conditions can be anything from the temperature of the place I'm working in to something like bullying or incivility. So I believe we need to tease it out as we do more and more surveys. Now, so how can we prevent the next generation from eating their young? We need to raise education and awareness. We need to teach people about, teach our teams and educate our teams on emotional intelligence and what is unprofessional behavior and how it is a standard. It is in the code of ethics that nurses create or help and contribute to an environment, a work environment that is conducive to excellence in nursing practice. All right. Also, mentorship programs, structured mentorship programs can be very, very helpful. Having a zero tolerance policy toward incivility and bullying type behaviors, right? Just making it very, very clear that this no longer goes around here. This does not work here anymore. That was yesterday. Today, we're stepping into a fresh new day where we value our seasoned nurses and our new nurses coming in, and we just don't do this anymore. Okay? Leadership training. Training and coaching and investing in our nursing leaders and helping them to lead. Also, not just leadership training, but leadership support, giving them the staffing they need to ensure that they have the time to lead. Okay? If nursing leaders continue to be pulled from their roles to work for, situations of inadequate staffing that happen daily, they will never be able to lead and never move forward out of this cycle of negative culture. Okay? So we need to train our leaders, and then we also need to give them the tools and support they need to be able to work in the role they were hired to work in. Okay? We need support and some accountability. We need to promote a culture of respect. Respect should become the norm in our nursing work environments. And so as we look at where we've been, right? Because this phenomenon, nurses eat their young, this has been around since, as I said, before I became a nurse. And I've been a nurse for 33 plus years. So this was already a problem way back when. And we need to make every effort that we can to resolve this for future generations of nursing so that we can once and for all stabilize nurse staffing and give nurses wonderfully prepared, caring, supportive work environments where they can plant themselves and grow roots, right? Continuing to recruit nurses into the same environments, same toxic work environments that others are leaving is not the solution. It's not the solution. It's a waste of everybody's time, energy, and money. Okay? We've got to dare to do nursing differently. We've got to dare to transform nursing culture. And that's why we started the Nurses Feed Their Young movement, so that we can provide a place for nurses and nursing leaders to connect, grow and develop and support each other as we work toward our common goal of transforming nursing culture. If you haven't joined our community yet, I invite you to join us. Click the link below. You're going to get 30 days absolutely free. And just get to know us. Come on in and get to know us. We're going to have monthly networking and educational events for you in there, along with a lot of other great things. But want to see you in the community where you can get the support that you need to continue and to grow. See you soon. Bye bye.